Oh, on.
How's it, everybody? Welcome back to another one. Today we are going to be talking tough bubble and fly setup. So the tough bubble fly setup is a really fun way to fish in Hawaii. I've had a lot of action. Best fish I caught so far was a 7-pound omilu from shore, and I lost an olua at my feet, but we'll save that story for another time. Needless to say, it definitely attracts the attack. So here's what you're going to need. First, you're going to need a tough bubble, a swivel, some leader line, and a fly. So starting off, let's talk about the tough bubble. The way this works is you open it by pushing on the small side, like that. From there, you can put your finger on the bottom. You fill this with water. And the most important thing I'll tell you about picking a tough bubble is make sure it's not just a clear bubble. Make sure it's a tough bubble. So the tough bubble company that you want is either going to be Double X or Rainbow Plastics. I want to say they're the same company. Sometimes you see them written differently, but these things are super strong when you're fishing rocks, reef. You're gonna hit it at some time on the rocks and reefs, and if you have a cheap one, you will crack it. As far as what kind, there's different sizes. So you got super small, you got medium, and then you have the large. So I personally like the large. The first thing you wanna think about though is your setup. My setup is a PE1. I usually cast between 3/4 to 1.5 ounces. I know if I fill this all the way up with water, it's going to be close to 2 ounces, which is a little too heavy. So I fill it halfway, and then I have a little scale that I'll measure it on just to verify it. But 1.5 ounces is perfect for me. That's about what it is when I fill it halfway. It also creates kind of a sloshing of the water back and forth. I think that helps create even more action. There's different colors. One's kind of cool looking, kind of like a greenish yellow, a red one. I like to keep it clear because I want the focus to be more on the fly and not on the bubble, but that's just my thoughts. I'm going to show you how I rig it up, but I'm just going to kind of explain first how it works. Once you fill it with water, right? So you fill it with water. From there, you put the line through the skinny hole first. You could add either a bead or a knot protector, or like a small piece of tubing to create a buffer, because this, when you're working it, it's going to hit the swivel. I don't really use anything, and I don't have a problem with it, but it will wear this down faster. So just keep that in mind. These are about $2, so keep that in mind. Another way to do it, guys will have a swivel on both ends with a through piece of stainless steel wire. That's definitely a little bit harder to build or make. My braid goes through here, going to a double polymer knot to swivel, going to another polymer knot to leader line, about arm's length, and then finally going to a Rapala loop knot. And again, the loop knot is just going to create a little bit more action when you're working it in the water. For leader line, I just have this laying around. This is 14-pound fluoro made by Berkeley. It's called Vanish. It's actually really good for the price. However, I like to use J-line 20-pound. I think 20-pound is the perfect strength that's going to allow for. I've used 25, I use 30, I even use 40, and I always have way more action when I go 20. As soon as I go 25 or up, I have less action in my opinion. And then from there, you're going to need a fly. This is my all-time favorite fly. So it's a black fly from Automatic Flies. They're located on Oahu. I don't know if you can see the detail on it, but it looks super kind of iridescent in the water. It kind of has like a bluish flash to it. It's got red underneath, kind of looks like a wounded fish. And I think that in the water, this probably looks like maybe like a jumping jack. These are good sized flies. I would say like, maybe 3 inches. And again, I tie the Rapala loop knot. It's gonna give it more action. So I'll show you that one. Again, the loop knot is just gonna create a little bit more action when you're working it in the water. This is the other fly I like if I'm fishing beach areas or sandy areas, which isn't that often. This thing's super sick. I like the red eye. So those are my 2 options on flies: rocky, black, sandy, white. As far as what rod and reel to use, I like a PE1 to PE2, PE1 being my favorite. And then for reels, I think the 5,000 is a sweet spot. I would say 3,000 to 6,000 if we're talking Shimano. I usually use my Stratic 5K. Sometimes my Saragossa 6K. 5K I think is a sweet spot. So the 2 ways I like to fish the tough bubble: when I come to a spot, I'll cast out, and I'll do like a crank and pop. So pretty fast retrieve. So I'm kind of getting like a scared, erratic bait fish, or something's chasing a bait fish. The other way I'll do it is I'll cast out and I'll literally go a slow retrieve. In between my retrieves, I'll just create like a splash, like 2 fast jerks like that. And that usually will attract the attack. So give that a try. All right, guys, so we got all set up. Let's go to the fishing spot and see if we can't attract the attack.
Oh!
So we had a good session. I literally caught on my very first cast, which is crazy. It was the only fish I caught all day, but I cast it out, was working it pretty fast, and I got a decent omilu, probably a 12-incher, catch and release, but always good to catch, especially when it's middle of the day. So definitely, if you haven't already, give the Tough Bubble and Flies a try. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. Thank you so much. Till next time, tight lines, and take care, everybody.